Hey boys, so welcome to your first online ADP class. My name's Duncan. I'm the Head of Strength and Conditioning at Tauranga Boys College, and typically we would be doing this session in our weights room, but given the current situation that we're in, we're going to do it via these online videos. But the good news is we can actually still get some really good work done, and you can make some really good progress. And we don't actually lose much by doing it in this way compared to being at school in the gym. So that's really good news for you. So the object of this class basically is to teach you some key movements that are going to really set you up nicely for when we go into some of the actual lifting component of the ADP program, whether that's later in the term or it's when you come back as a year 10. It's really key that you have the knowledge and the ability to perform these movements well so you can be effective with your lifting but also really safe. It's going to be, on that note, it's going to be really obvious to me when we do go back to school at the back end, or whenever we do, it's going to be really obvious to see who's actually been doing this work at home during this isolation period and who hasn't. And like I say, if you can't, if you're not competent in some of these movements, in all of these movements in fact, then you'll actually get held behind as a year 10 and you won't be able to complete the year 10 program in its full until you master these movements. So I would encourage you to try really hard to listen to what I'm saying and put that into practice. So when we do go back to class, we're not having to recap and take a step backwards before we can go forwards again. With all these ADP sessions, they are active classes, so expect to move, and we will be doing that in the comfort of our own homes in this circumstance. So first things first, we have a warm-up. We have the set warm-up called the ADP warm-up, which you will do before any of these classes, effectively to warm up and get yourself prepared to undertake the exercise program that's prescribed for that day. The ADP warm-up comprises of 4 exercises. I have done a ADP warm-up video, which is on this YouTube channel. So if you do not know the ADP warm-up, and that'll be most of you, just hit pause now. Go back to the channel, find the ADP warm-up video and run through that. So you can do that now. Just hit pause. Cool, so like I was saying before, that's the expectation that when you start this class, you will do the ADP warm-up, then you'll be ready to get into the session. And as I was saying before, we have some really key movements which we put a lot of emphasis on in developing as you as an individual, so that you can progress really well and really safely and be effective with your athlete development program as we progress through the year levels. So first movement we have that we're going to start today is the hip hinge. It has a couple of different names, but we call it the hip hinge at school. Everyone knows what a hinge does in its true sense. In a door, you know, we've got this sort of movement, so we're going to replicate that movement or create that movement from our hips. Now it can be a really difficult concept for you to grasp, so I'd encourage you, as I walk you through the learning stages of this, you can check yourself out in a mirror or in a window, or film yourself doing the movement and come back to the video and see if it's the same as what I'm showing you, because these movements are hard, and you may feel like you're doing something correctly, but when you see yourself, it may look slightly different, but that might be the prompt you need to change your technique, and then all of a sudden you're good. Cool, so the hip hinge. First things first, so I will show you the hip hinge in its entirety, and then we'll break it down in a couple of different stages so you can learn the technique properly. Hip hinge looks like this. So it's a movement from my hips. If I'm going to make 2 fists, I'm just going to keep my back flat. I'm going to push my bottom back, and I'm going to create a right angle between my leg and then my back. as you can see. I'm nice and flat in my back, my legs are straight, and I'm going straight up and straight down and back up, back down. So that is the hip hinge in its entirety. Like I said before, I want to break it down because it is a difficult move to master. So what I want you to do, and this might be a bit hard for you to see on the video, is go close to a wall. I want you to step out 30 centimeters away from the wall, so about a foot from the wall. What you're going to do, first things first, I'll show you side on, but you'll be standing with your back towards the wall. You're going to dip at your knees, then you're going to push your bum back to the wall. You're going to keep your back flat and you're just going to slide down. So when I show you as you would be, so you're going to dip at your knees first, I'm going to push my bottom back and I'm going to keep my back flat. So what I'm actually trying to do is get my bum to touch the wall, and then I'm going to stand back up. So bum to touch the wall and back up. From the side, so dip my knees, stick my bottom back and keep my back flat, bum to touch the wall and stand up. So I'm going to do 6 of those. Again, against the wall, dip at your knees, push my bum back and keep my back flat, bum touches the wall and stand up. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now I'll just show you from side on before you have a go at it. Dip at my knees again, pushing my backside back and keeping my back flat. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So what I want you to do, I want you to have a go at that. I want you to do 6 repetitions. I want you to think about how it feels. Do you think it looks like what I'm showing you in the video? If you can, go and stand side on or front on to a mirror or window so you can see. When you're looking at yourself, I want you to get into this position. So my bottom is pushing back, my knees are slightly bent, and my back is flat. Some of the common things or the common mistakes that we will see in this lift, which I don't want you to do, and it's highly likely that this will be part of your technique, is your legs are stiff and I'm just rounding. I've created this big hump in my back, this big rainbow shape, and I've got my legs nice and stiff and straight, but that's not what I want. I want a nice soft bend in my knees, so dip at my knees, bottom back, flat back, and I'm in that position and standing back up. Of course, so just coming back to that, so I want you to do a set of 6, then I want you to have a rest, give yourself 60 seconds break, then I want you to do 2 more sets of that. Just against the wall, so your bum is going back to the wall for that touch, and then standing back up. If you can, then go to a mirror, check your technique. Does it look like mine, or does it look like that big arching back with the stiff legs? If not, correct it by flattening out your back and putting that light dip in your knees. I want you to do a total of 5 sets of 6. Every time you finish a set of 6, have a break, think about your technique, and then make adjustments so you can improve that technique. Cool? Just remember, it's hard and it's a different movement. It's something that you're probably not used to, but that's okay. Practice is going to make perfect, and stick with that, and we're going to keep revisiting that over these weeks, and improvements will be made, I promise. Cool. So the hip hinge is a hard one to master, like I say, and that's a pretty heavy start to the session. So we'll go to something a little bit easier, something that you're more familiar with, and that's a press up. I want to go to a modified version of the push up or press up to start with. Just remember that technique is everything. Good technique is, well, I should say, I'm not going to stand for poor technique. technique is the key thing that's going to help you progress, or bad technique is going to make me say, nah, we need to keep practicing, we're not going to progress yet, we need to keep working on it. So it's not about strength, it's just about technique. So I'm sure a lot of you can do a proper press up, and that's great, but that's not what we're going to start with today. I want to start with what I call a modified press up. It has other names, but basically you're going to do a press up from your knees. I will do it side on so you can see me. Out of the way. So keys to a good press up is that you have one straight line through your back. Your core is engaged and strong. So to engage your core, I want you to suck your belly button in, but still be able to breathe. So I'm going to line up. I'm going to put my knees on the ground. I'm going to walk my hands out a little bit. I'm going to have my hands about shoulder width apart and straight under my shoulders. So when I press up, I have my core engaged, my glutes are engaged too, and I'm going to lower myself down nice and controlled, almost to where my chest touches the floor, and then I'm going to push back up. That's one. I want you to do 6 of these like we did for the hinge, so another 5. Cool, and you might find that's quite hard when you do it properly and you lower, slow down, and then control the movement back up. What I want you to avoid is just keeping your backside in the air and going like this, or when you come down, arching your back like a worm. That's not a press up. Stay nice and strong in your core. Lower down and push up. Lower down and push up. Cool, so now that you've seen me do it, now you have an expectation of, well, my expectation. I want you to do a set of 6, then I want you to have a rest, and I want you to do another set of 6, and then another minute's rest, and then finally a third set of 6, and then we're going to rest again. So I want you to pause the video, do those 3 sets of 6 from your knees, the press ups from your knees or the modified press up, and really focus on your technique, and then come back to the video and hit play. Cool. So now another pretty common exercise. I'm sure you've heard of this before, and it's, when I say this in my class, a lot of people moan and think it is a tough exercise, and it is, but it's actually a really, really awesome exercise for improving your core. And as you may or may not know, the core is is involved in everything you do that's physical. Okay, so a strong core is going to be really beneficial to your athletic development. So it's key that we isolate the core and do some of these exercises and get better at them. So the next one we're going to do is a plank or a prone hold. I'm sure most of you have heard of this before or have done one before. Again, the key is technique. So technique, technique, technique. And you might get sick of me saying that, but it's really, really important. We're also going to do a modified version of this plank to start with. It's the same modification as we did for the press ups. So that means that we're knees down. I'll show you side on. So when we do this plank, let's get out of that sunlight. I want you to engage your core again like I cued you to do before. So that's sucking your belly button in, holding your belly button in nice and tight, but still being able to breathe over the top. So plank from our knees, same position, but I'm going to go elbows down, and I want a nice flat back. As you can see, my belly button's in, I'm creating that nice flat back. I'm not sagging in my hips, and my backside isn't in the air either. So I'm nice and strong, and I'm just going to hold. So today I'm going to hold for 30 seconds, or you guys are going to hold for 30 seconds, and try and stay strong with really good technique through that entire 30 seconds. So I'll just close this. That's better. Cool. So you might find that's actually really hard to do, even though it's modified and from your knees. It's hard because now we're doing it properly and we're engaging all the right areas of our body that we're trying to use. So I want you to do 3 sets of 30 seconds. Make sure you have a minute's break in between each go at that. But if you really struggle for form and you get really tired, as soon as you feel like your hips are sagging or you've got to stick your backside up in the air and break that good solid platform or that good form, then just stop, okay? Because I want it to be done well. There's no point practicing something poorly. Cool, so that's our third exercise for today. We're just going to leave it at that level. So once you've done your 3 sets, we're going to move on. Typically what we do for these sessions is we finish with a little bit of a cardio circuit. So that's what we're going to do today, a real simple one. If you have been following some of the ADP videos that I've been posting over the last 2 weeks, then you'll be sweet, because this is something pretty similar to what has been happening in those videos. If not, that's cool. So basically what we're doing is we're going to do a little 10-minute 3-station circuit. You're going to do as many rounds as possible. So we've got 3 simple exercises that are going to follow one after the other and then back to the start, and you're going to go through those for 10 minutes. Each exercise we're doing for 10 repetitions, and you're going to keep going and going and going. I just want you to find a rhythm or tempo or speed that you are comfortable with. This is not going to be easy. You're going to be puffing. You're going to find it a little bit difficult. But give it a really good go. You'll feel much better for that. Don't cheat yourself by having a rest in between. That's not the idea. I want you to have a good go for 10 minutes. Like I said at the start, this is an active class. So get active, enjoy it. Enjoy finding a bit of a challenge within the exercises. Cool, so the 3 exercises we have got are, number 1, burpees. Number 2, we have got sit-ups, and number 3, star jumps. So 3 exercises I'm sure you're all familiar with. Great. So we're going to get really comfortable and really familiar with those over the next 10 minutes. Remember, we've got 10 repetitions for each. I will demonstrate one of each so you can see the form or the correct technique that I expect when you do this circuit, and then I will leave it to you. You can push stop on the video, turn up some music really loud if that's what you want, and then have 10 hard minutes of this circuit. Cool, so burpees. Starting on your feet. You're going to drop down into the press up position. Then you're going to go back to your feet and jump. So I'll do that in real time. It looks like this. That's 1. So 9 more of those, that makes 10. Then you can move on to exercise number 2, which is sit-ups. Feet planted firmly on the floor. You can put your arms overhead for a little bit of assistance. Go up, touch your knees, and back down. That's 1, 2, 3. Again, you're going to keep going for 10. And last one, star jumps. Another simple, easy one, but really good cardiovascular exercise. Start with everything in the middle, and then we're going out and back in. So real time looks like this. 1, 2, 3, all the way to 10. Once you've done your star jumps, you're back to burpees, and the cycle goes around and around for 10 good minutes. Enjoy, fellas, and I'll see you next week for another video. Enjoy. Stay safe.